Okay, it is 6:26. We'll call the Committee of the Whole meeting for September 11, 2017 to order. First up on the agenda is the Community Ambassador Program. I received a phone call last week from Manitoba Liquors and Lottery saying that they had read an article in the Opasco Times, which is also on the agenda here, that was incorrect, that there was monies available, and they're just quietly waiting in Winnipeg for our request for that funding. So I thought it probably best that we bring Randy to the meeting and get a report on how that program went in 2015.
It's only been 2 years, so I'll try to remember as best I can. It was actually exactly 2 years ago this weekend that we started that program. It was a 4-month program. Very well received in town, as I think you heard at council meetings and general talk on the streets, that even though they had a very limited scope of work, it was important that they were visible. People in the streets saw them. It made them feel a little more secure that someone else was watching over their back, whether that be our transient population or the downtown business owners, or the people just happen to be walking the street. Knowing someone else is there watching over their back gave them a little bit of a warm, fuzzy feeling, I guess. The Ambassador Program report that I did for MLCC, I know I was scheduled a number of times when the program first ended to do a report. Of course, I was in training every other week, and it was hard to get me in here. So I did provide a report, which I'll give to everybody so they can read it rather than me sitting here and reading through it, that talked about everything from what their role was, what we came across statistically, as well as where the money went, and what we could maybe do in the future if we were to try to get that revamped. Keep in mind that it's now been over 1.5 years that I've been in my new role, that I wasn't public safety officer when I switched over strictly with fire department in April of last year. Of course, I was no longer doing this aspect of the work.
Right.
My direct supervisor had said, no, we won't fill out the application because that will possibly hinder other possibilities of getting someone in here. So there was a little urgency to try to get a new public safety officer hired and get them on board so that could become kind of their baby in a sense, right? And that's why I think it was overlooked last year. Just the mix-up party didn't start till later on in July, and it was just put to the wayside. This year, again, I wasn't involved with that aspect at all, so where we went from there, I'm not sure. So I'll just give everyone, I said, a copy. I've got one.
Actually, we have it,
It's attached.
I have it.
You got it? You got it?
we have it
Then
electronically,
you don't need.
and the numbers are stunning.
I said, we did the little survey, and I know Mr. Scott and I, we had a discussion after the program ended that was a discussion about the program itself, and I think that first year was really a fact-finding mission, is really what it became. What did we have? What were we lacking? Where would we go from here? So, although the 4 months that were on the street, maybe they weren't as completely as effective as we would like, but you couldn't exactly throw 2 relatively young people. We had 3 applications for the job in the first place, so it wasn't like we had to pick of the litter. We kind of took what we could get, and I think they did the best they could with what they had, and they did do a lot of information gathering, and I think the biggest thing they did gain, I still today have some of the transient population asking me where they are, or saying, where are those guys? We liked having them around. Even though there was some resistance, for the most part they received them well.
Yeah.
As my report said, they weren't the police, they weren't security guards. Their job was to build relationships, so persuasion was a technique rather than an order. When police come around, unless they have that personal relationship, they're viewed as the bad guy. Whereas our ambassadors are viewed as someone who's looking after their best interests. Not necessarily always, but the end game was to make sure they were okay, whether it be that they were warm, had somewhere to be, or that call in the ambulance, police, whatever it may be, to get them assistance they needed.
I'm curious as to thoughts are on the table. We should be looking at this again. Can we find the monies for it?
Well, I think any step in the right direction, it's not going to solve everything, but it's better than what's going on. Not sure why it stopped from before. If there's money in the Community Enhancement Fund, which comes from the hotel tax money, why don't we use that to partner? Like, I feel like we've probably just missed out on 2 years of not doing it, right? Like, and again, whether it's the homeless shelter or this, it's a very complex problem. There's not gonna be one silver bullet that solves it all, but this is one little piece of the pie, you know, it's one bite of the elephant. So for me, if we can do it, and I think there's money there.
And
why are
you
we
think it
not
should
doing
come out of what fund? I'm sorry, community
Community
enhancement?
enhancement fund? Slush fund, Jim, you remember, right? You forget it. Now you remember, perfect.
That's a hotel.
It comes from the
That's what
hotel
I'm
tax.
on, yeah.
It's an
In case anyone
accommodation fee.
forgot.
Yeah.
Okay,
So is that then gonna come forward as a proposal for, during the budgeting process, or what are we?
Why can't-
I don't see why we'd
Why
want to
can't
wait
we
for
do
that.
that?
Why wouldn't we send it off and see if community enhancement or slush fund or whatever you want to call it is interested in coming up with those 50-cent dollars?
Well, I guess in part because if it were rolled into the budgeting process that came around every year, it would be less likely to drop off the radar. If we put it in midway, then, if we bridge now to the end of the year and then look at it for a year long, or whatever period we look at, going forward in our fiscal year, it's more in lockstep with. Because I don't think the problem's gonna go away in.
Oh, no, I think you're right. I think we should make sure we're aware of it for 2018, but there's no reason why we can't go forward in 2017.
When did it start last time?
April or September 8th was the starting day of 2 years ago.
Even if you started now, it's not gonna.
Yeah.
I think, if I make a suggestion, even if we put it as a budget for next year, I think an idea we could have, and you might have it in with this, Mr. Scott, is when I first looked at this, I wanted to involve the UCM enforcement officer
Law
program,
enforcement program, yeah.
where they need to do a certain number of hours anyway. We can get a high visibility of 16 to 18 people on the street almost right now. You make a bursary or a grant type thing where it's not gonna cost a lot of money. I think they would jump at that opportunity. And that way, it's not a lot of money this year, it covers this year, maybe
Yeah.
till Christmas time.
Yeah.
And then come new budget season, come springtime, you get the program up and running properly.
Yeah, I'm not going to speak on UCM, but I would be a little hesitant in putting students who have had a total of 2 days in class work in a program, so
Well, the thing is
maybe
it's-
22 days and then we can go.
Well, that's it, you know,
Yeah.
even if we said, you know, middle of October, end of November, even get them out, just doing a walk. You're all working pairs, it's no different than a Citizens on Patrol program. They're out and they're just being visible.
Yeah.
They're putting in some time to offer that assistance to the community.
I'll speak to the dean for sure.
Can I comment on this just further to this? I have a little different recollection of this, and this conversation is coming in right now, is because we decided that program wasn't necessarily working and wasn't worth putting in the investment, because we were getting 15,000 from them, and we were gonna put in 15,000, and we weren't quite happy with what we got. That had a big reason to do last year why we didn't do this program. And secondary, we had no one to look after it. Again, that position did start later in the year. But I want to be very, very sure before we proceed again, because last year, when we had this conversation, we weren't exactly all on the same page with continuing with it.
There was an announcement that the money was there and ready to go, and the ambassador program had been renewed, which of course it hadn't been.
Councillor
So
Zelinski.
maybe we could take this as an opportunity to revisit the program that we had and come up with maybe
Yes.
maybe a different type of program or some different ideas, maybe through UCN, maybe through a different type of ambassador program, just something between yourself and the new public safety officer and
And that's why this year it wasn't even budgeted, it wasn't even a thought, because we had cutbacks on it, and
Yes.
this,
for sure.
there's
But
nothing
I-
wrong with revisiting, but we need to ensure what do we want out of this to make it work.
Yeah,
I would like to see Addictions AFM involved in this. I would like to see the RHA involved in this. This isn't something that the town, I'm going to say, should be totally responsible for, because I'm on the street every day. Well, I work there.
Which one?
And I don't see the RHA there. I don't see AFM there. The RCMP are becoming visible, but with the ambassador program, they don't have any, they can tell them to move, you know, please don't stay here, you gotta move or whatever, but they have no power to move them either. If they don't want to go, they will not go. So I think we have to look at a different approach, totally, not just say, let's do the ambassador program with that. That money has to be well spent from Manitoba Liquor and Lotteries, and I don't think the taxpayers of the town should be responsible for any of this. That is, the business owners or whatever, I'm sorry, my businesses are hurting because of this. So if you're asking me, okay, personally, as a business owner, to put more money in, I don't think so.
I had approached,
I'm
and I-
hurting.
Margaret, just so I
I'm
could,
hurt- no,
that's
no,
why I
I've been
mentioned the
hurting
community
enough.
the community enhancement
Enhancement,
fund.
yeah.
Comes from the hotel
Yeah.
tax, right? So that's not a tax,
Yeah.
that's not taxes
But
from,
I
right?
just want to put that statement out there that, you know, if say, like Brian said, we should budget for it, oh, no, we're not budgeting for this.
But it would still be part of the
It
budget.
would
still
still
part of
be
the
part
budget.
of it, yeah.
Yeah.
Before we started this program, I had met with the Chamber of Commerce in April of that year,
Mhm.
thinking that, well, you know, you pay $100 a year to be part of the chamber, and for that $100 a year, I was a member for 12 years. I don't remember getting anything other than a listing of the other businesses involved. I
Yeah.
thought that was a perfect opportunity for them to maybe sponsor the program, even if it meant me, when I was a business owner, adding $25 a year to my fees to have something like this as a program. I mean, that's who's suffering here, you as business
Yeah.
owners downtown that might be part of the chamber, that should definitely try to help out.
I am doing something right now, but it's so at the kindergarten stage that I don't want to bring it up yet, but it's going to be something very, very, very positive. So I'm at the point, and a lot of people are at the point, if I don't do something, which I think we can, because I'm going to put it right out there, the people that are sitting in those chairs right now, they're not doing their job. AFM is not doing their job, and so on. So there has to be something that gets done. As I said, if I don't do anything, I'm going to be another one of those casualties from downtown and from the Paul, because we will be moving. And that has been said to me over and over and over again from other people. I had a citizen come in, and 3 weeks ago, I don't want to mention her name, I can when we're not in public, but she said, Margaret, we have to take back our town. And you'd be surprised who it would be. I said my piece.
Randy?
I would like council to consider letting ourselves, as Randy, move forward with a plan on this, with a good plan, and how we're gonna make this work for our community, and bring it back to the next meeting utilizing the monies that we already have in place. Because there's no point in doing this if we're not looking at a success on it. Not for the fact of matching money, or we have this money. If it's not gonna be a success, or it's planned success, then it's not gonna work.
It can't be a one-year thing. We have to build a little bit, and it has to be positive outcomes.
You gotta start somewhere, so I think we realized the way it was before wasn't working to what we needed, and I'd like to see us come up with a plan as to how we can get this addressed. I'm asking for,
Yeah, Andrew?
I just, in looking like, in hearing everything that's been said, one of the thoughts that I have is that the previous program was run between September 8th and December 31st, which is, I mean, it catches the fall, start of winter season. And I mean, for as much as, you know, we see a presence on the street of transient population of people who are having troubles during that time frame, I would be curious if we were gonna run a program again, to not do it during the same period of time, to capture other data, right? We've got 4 months out of 12. That's kind of not enough data to really make good decisions on what a program would look like if we were looking to something that was a little more long-term. I wouldn't want to give Manitoba Lotteries, Liquor and Lotteries, the idea that we're not interested in their funding.
for sure.
But, you know, I mean, and the reality is, if we said, yay, here's 15 grand, send us your money today, by the time you post jobs, do interview, you know, advertise, do interviews, get some people to agree to hire and start work, we're probably already into October, late October, November. You know, it might make more sense to hold the reins just a little bit longer and target a spring, you know, a spring, early summer program. the ambassador program, if it's run with the intent to really collect data, establish good baselines and get good information, along with helping people that are needing help, we need to maximize the use of that money, I guess is what I'm trying to say. If we run it December, January, February, March, the people that we find are going to be in dire straits probably because it's the middle of winter and that's problematic and troublesome. But I don't know that that will necessarily maximize the use of our $15,000 if that's what we're putting in. I think if we targeted late spring, summer, then we'll see a lot different, we'll gather data that is a lot more useful to our business community because their prime problems are during the non-winter seasons, right?
I think that because it is government money, that they'll want some sort of evidence that it's been used and expended by March 31st at midnight. I think that if we had conversations, perhaps we would find out that there would be this pot for 2017-18, and there may be a pot that we could, if they were to let us know that there'd be something we could apply for 2018-19, then we could run, a 6-7 month winter, spring into a summer season. And I think we'd probably get more information that way. I think, this guy's reached out to us saying, hey, I want you to know that there is money available. And he certainly gave no indication that it wasn't going to continue, that let's get these parties together and see if we can't.
We just need a really good plan.
We just need a plan, I know.
This money from MLCC comes from the exact same programs of sponsoring golf tournaments
Yeah.
and concerts and everything, so there's nothing
Yeah.
special, it's just
No.
what our request was for that.
Yep,
When I started with the town of Paw, that was April 28th of now 2.5 years ago. One of my first tasks that Randy closed with was get this ambassador program going. We applied, the application went out in mid-June. We were approved for the money in mid-July. We spent almost a month trying to find applicants to apply. That was now already the end of August.
Yeah.
We found 2 guys that were willing
Yeah.
to stick their neck out, and they started a week later. So again, it's not an easy role to fill.
Yeah.
And that's where I thought the UCN students might be ideal, where, you're getting mass people instead of 2 guys wandering in and out or learning routines. It was flood the streets almost with people that can be helpful.
Yeah.
And again, save money.
yeah.
There's nothing worse, well, when you look at the graph of the way money went, right? $25,000 of it went to just paying wages. So, and for 4 months. That isn't great utilization, but it's the best we had to work with to collect that data to give us that baseline to start with.
I think in most operations you'll find that wages
It always will.
could be your biggest expense.
But still need a plan.
Yeah, we do need a plan, absolutely we need a plan.
So back, one last thing for me at least, is, so for all in agreement that May, June, July, August is probably the busy month and the best time to pilot this. There's nothing stopping applying for it now or notifying, saying, there's gonna be an application in by December 31st, this is our plan, it's gonna be next summer, so they know,
You might just start it earlier.
that's right.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
You don't have to wait.
June 15th was their deadline for application, so there's no reason why we can't probably put it right in January to have it in place by the time springtime.
That'll be part of the plan.
But you want them to know going into their budget process, that
We're knocking on their door.
you've got your application coming over somewhere.
Councillor Rock.
I was just gonna say, part of the benefit coming out of this is gonna benefit our businesses. It may be wise that, given the fiscal year we're in, doesn't necessarily, the funding year doesn't necessarily match our fiscal year or the annual year. So looking at what we can do between now and December 31st may be beneficial. And here I was just thinking about the Christmas season issue, because the benefit to businesses uptown and whatnot is getting people out there and going between businesses and shopping. So we just don't want to lose that opportunity if it fits into the plan going forward.
One quick comment.
Yeah.
The biggest thing, what I want to see is these people getting help. That is the biggest thing. They have addictions and they're not getting the help that they need. And sometimes you gotta kind of drive it in their head, but they need the help.
I guess that's a point where, as management, what we need is a plan that council agrees on.
Yes.
Because we have 7 different ideas here.
Yeah.
And we need to ensure that we have that clear directive. So we will bring a plan, and it'll be up to council to tell us what directive you want from there.
The problem you find with addictions though is unless that person says, I want help, you can't do anything for them.
No.
So all we do is manage the problem we're facing on the street.
And the
Yeah.
one thing that I wouldn't want to confuse is the issue that we have right now on the table regarding homelessness and
Yeah.
Oscar's Place. and
Different
those
issue.
things,
Totally.
Which is different than the ambassador program, right? It's easy for those two things to kind of, in a person's line of thinking, smush those two things together, but the ambassador program has a different role than, or at least its role is larger than simply, finding resources for help for people that.
Its role could change dramatically on
Yeah,
September
so-
30th if
I just want to make sure
if
that
things can't go on
our
favorably.
Yeah.
staff are thinking about that program, but we don't confuse those two issues.
Yeah.
The ambassador program can still serve some of those purposes, but
The ambassador program is also designed to, you're the welcoming person of the community. You're not just the person out there moving people that are on the streets, you are the welcoming face of the community. You're helping people on the street, it's not because you don't have a home, you're helping people on the street to direct them where they need to go, and it's an appearance there.
Yeah, half of the time it's usually helping older ladies walk across those, of course, you say winter time, helping ladies cross the street, carrying their groceries, they were kind of everything.
Yeah.
They really were.
That's very
kind of
big,
master.
that's very big,
Lots of positive
yeah.
comments on it, that's for sure. All right,
We'll bring forward a plan.
all right, thank you. 4.1, 2017 tax additions and cancellations.
Well, sadly, as you can see, we had many more decreases than we did in tax additions. The only additions we had this year to the assessment was as a result of 2 garages and the fact that we transferred 1559 Gordon to someone different. Your huge reductions are as a result of a couple of the fires that we had in town, and that's not even for the entire year. This is for July, or pardon me, this is for later in the year. This doesn't include the latest one. So we've had basically some of them that were July was one of the big fires, and some of the other one was in August, which was another house fire. And in this deletions listing is not the reduction in assessment for the New Hawaiian. So what we're seeing here is we had a huge reduction due to those fires. So not only does it cost us in firefighting services, it's also costing us hugely in the reduction in assessed values for next year too. So what we require is a resolution that gives us taxes added in the amount of 9,231, or pardon me, 7,379. We also had a decrease of 16,610. So we've seen an overall net loss.
Yes.
So
Okay.
we require a resolution.
Resolution, bring it forward. 4.2, payroll and accounts.
So we would require a resolution for pay period 17 and 18 in the amount of $251,960.76. Checks in the amount of $2.117,374.32, and electronic funds transfer in the amount of $170,085.17. A lot of the money you'll see here, the total of resolution will amount to $2.539,420.25 million. This is FANSET. That's for the project on the Rose. There was an expenditure of $870,000 as a time payment. It was the contribution to the forestry industry in the amount of $241. I'm rounding these numbers off, sorry.
451.
451, correct. J.R. Cousins for the RFP for $7,500. And our police fees to June of this past year in the amount of $558,000. So when you see that 2.5 million, it added up pretty quick with a couple of these.
80% of it was unfortunate.
Okay, have a resolution to pay the bill. Okay, Deputy Mayor, can you move us in camera, please?
Where do we keep that motion? I don't want to
Click
get
on
it
the
wrong.
thing.
I forgot to include it in the camera.
Oh, okay, well, I move a motion that we adjourn to in camera
Yeah.
to discuss matters requiring our
Yeah,
attention.
these-
Thank you for coming out,
That
Aaron.
covers everything.
good
I think
job.
that was good. Someone- some-
I
You hit all the highlights, Brian.
Took me 3